Okay, so today I will explain with a small piece of code about the pagination process using the LWC component, and along with the refresh part, means refreshing a specific particular component via refresh apex method. So just I am sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So what I have done, actually the code has been written, but I will explain the code later. Let's see what actually I have done. This is a page where actually, a component where actually we are doing a pagination on the account record, means we are doing displaying the account records, which is a pagination process. That means there are some specific group of accounts we have created here. Let me refresh this one, and those account records we are displaying here with a pagination process. So here you can see, if I click on next, then the next list of accounts records with a specific name and phone value, we can display n number of columns, whatever you want, but there is a limitation because the page should not looks like clumsy. So that's why only for the demo purpose I have displayed the name and phone of that particular account in this page, in this particular example. And then if I go to the last page, then automatically the next button will be disabled, and then the previous button will be enabled. Now if you go back, and then when it will be in the first page, then all the same procedure, means previous button will be disabled and next button will be enabled. And in between the pages, that means in middle pages, always those two buttons will be always enabled. Now here you can see this is also changing. That means when you are going to the next page, then you can see the three, means total number of page is 4. Then what is the number of page you are right now belongs to? It's three number of, means third number of page, something like that. So how we have done this particular one? Let's go to the code part. Before that, I have written a simple Apex class which is returning a list of account. What is actually, it's a where method. That's why I kept as Aura enable cancel equal to true. And what is the method? Is actually it's acquiring the account data, and we are ordering by created date. You can remove it whatever you want, it's not required, but just for the you can say demo purpose I have kept this one. But what is the main purpose of this particular Apex class? We are returning a list of account, and we want to display this list of account in this in a particular LWC component with a pagination procedure. Now just I am going back to the JS part of the this particular main component, LWC component. See here, what we have done, we have imported the method, whatever the Apex class method we are calling. Here also the same process as we discussed previous sessions. That means how we can display or we can update the same component, the API with the API name. We are actually fetching, this is the variable, and we are actually fetching the account dot name. That is, this is the API name, or this is the metadata object or metadata API part which we are fetching. And also the phone number, means account dot phone number. So those two particular fields values we are fetching in two variables, one is name and one is phone. And also this is different part, I will come in this particular one later. Now same procedure, we are making the columns here with the name, and here the field API name is name dot field API name. It's actually the procedure as we explained, that when we are displaying a list of columns with a specific group of API names, then in this particular one you can say we can actually make those particular fields here available for those, like a name, phone, something like that. And also you can add another field whatever you want, like you can put industry or in type, whatever you want. Same like those fields also you have to import here, and you can means you can enable here. That means if you just put a comma, and you can add another list of field whatever you want. Let's say I am just let's say whatever the field is I queried, it's a website. Let's say I am taking the website. So what I will do, just I'll do something, import website from here. I will put website. This is the API name of the account field. So whenever you are adding a specific columns values here, the specific column, if you if you deploy it, then actually we are initializing the columns here, and then the corresponding columns will be displayed in the list. Now next part, what we have done, this is actually nothing but the variables we have defined. It is actually we are also some of the variables we declared, and here we are actually calling this particular method using the where decorators. Now what actually it's calling, it's calling this particular apex class method, and it's storing the data in this particular variable get account detail. This is the method actually, you can say, or list of data where actually we are actually in storing this account details data. In account details list, we are storing the list of the accounts, and this list of the accounts we are actually displaying here and in the HTML part. Now this particular one I will explain later. First, up to this one, just try to understand. Now what actually we are fetching the we are actually calling the apex class, we are fetching the data and we are storing the data in this particular variable. Now it's where method variable. Now what actually we are doing, see the same procedure whatever we explained previously. This is a lightning card where actually I will explain this one later. Now this is the particular one we are displaying. How we are displaying, like the same thing actually. If visible accounts equal to true, that means visible. What is the visible accounts? This is another variable where actually we are storing what is the visible accounts. I will explain later, just forget this particular part. We are storing this particular one, the data means data of this particular account record with a data table. Now what is this visible accounts? I am explaining this one. This visible accounts actually, here you can see this dot visible accounts equal to event dot detail dot records. What is this? This particular one actually responsible for the pagination part. We got the list. Now list has a n number of records. Now we want to display those n number of records with a pagination. Now how we have actually enabled the pagination here? Now you can see for that we have written a separate LWC component, and we have written this one as a separate LWC component. Why we have written a separate LWC component? Same method or same code line of code we can written in the same, means in the same particular HTML here also or in the JS, but we have written in a separate class so that we can make it you can say public means reusable. We
Divya,
can, yeah.
sorry, can you please go down little bit slow? It's a bit confusing for me to understand.
Okay, so from which part actually you just uh,
Like
uh
after this visible account, I got it, but after that, it's bit unclear for me. Like this part mainly, the
this
pagination part.
particular one, right?
Yes.
Now okay, just explaining you, because this is the list of account. This is
Mm-hmm.
understood. Okay, now we want to display the list of account with a pagination. Okay,
Okay.
now how we can do the pagination? Now we know that this list of account contains n number of records, but this n number of records we want to display in a specific format. That means with a slice of records. That means with two records in one page, two records in say third page, sorry, second page, two records in third page, something like that. Or you can say okay, not two, we can say that in a page we will display five records or three records, whatever you want. So in this particular format, how you can display? For that, we have written a pagination. We have created a pagination LWC component. Now, why we have created a separate LWC component to make it a reusable thing? The same procedure, means same JS method we can mention here also. But for make it a reusable part, that means any particular LWC component which is actually using the pagination, they can refer this particular code. Now I am going this particular one, this pagination JS. What is actually it's telling? Just careful means just try to understand. This is the normal LWC component class pagination extend lightning element, where actually we imported lightning element. It's a normal thing. And API you have created here. Why we have created API? It's storing the value, and it's actually setting the value. That's why we kept it as API call. Means API decorator we have mentioned. Now what is actually in this pagination we are doing? Slowly just try to understand. If you are getting any problem or I'm a little bit in rush, then just let me know. Here actually we initialize a total records variable. Now this is the record size. I mentioned here as a 2. What is the record size? That means number of records you want to display in a page. Now in this here, in this particular example I have kept is 2, means in a one page you will display only 2 records. Now, if you made it as 3, that means in one page you will display, we will display 3 records, something like that. Just for the example, I am keeping as 2. Total page means number of page. It's a integer. Initially, we are defining it as a 0. Current page, that means in which page you are current right now belongs to. Now the current page variable we put as a 1. Normally whenever you are loading any particular component, normally we start the pagination from the first page. That's why we kept these particular variables, initialize with particular these variables. Now see here in this particular one, this is the very important thing. What actually it's telling, we are setting this particular records. What is records? Records is a method. And how we are setting, we are actually sending this particular records there with a data. What is data? Data is coming from this particular pagination exam, means this particular LWC component. So this is the parent component and this is the child component. So we are passing the data from the parent to the child. Okay.
From where you are getting the data? Here it is not mentioned, the data part.
I'm telling you how actually I'm sending this particular this details in a child component. In this HTML, you can see here actually call this particular LWC component. This particular example this is the actually C hyphen pagination. This is the actual procedure when you can call any number of LWC component if you want. That means if you created a page LWC component, you have to call that particular component in this particular format. C hyphen the name of the LWC component. Here actually the name is pagination. That's why it's called pagination. Okay. Now see what is the variable I put here, records. The records actually I mentioned here. You can say this is the records. What actually the variables I mean the method, not variable, the method I mentioned here. And in this method, what the value we are passing the data. What is the data? Just see get account details dot data. This value we are passing. What is the get account details? Just the particular list of account we got here. And this is actually coming in the JSON format. In this particular JSON list, we are getting one data variable. That particular data variable, we are passing this particular or this pagination child LWC component. Clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone have any doubt on this particular one? How we are actually setting the value in the pagination part? Anyone? Hello. Anyone has any doubt?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
No.
So this particular list actually we are fetching from the Apex class, not list. This particular you can say JSON we are actually fetching or we are populating from the Apex class. So that means whatever the Apex class actually you are writing, accordingly whatever the records you want to display, the same kind of records data you can send here. That's why I made this pagination is a separate LWC component so that we can make it reusable. That means if any other LWC component wants to use, they also can send the list of data, whatever they want as a pagination format. Now here actually we are sending the list of the accounts, account details dot data we are sending. Now if I go to the pagination, what actually it is doing, it's etching the list of the account data and it's resizing the accounts in a slicing format. That means it's actually populating the pages, is populating the number of pages required, every details it is populating, and it's actually populating the, I mean slicing the data in a pagination format. How it is slicing, I am explaining one by one. Now just I got the data. Data means the list of the accounts. Now if the data that is actually the checking that if the data exists, then what is actually it is doing, whatever the variable we declared here, total records, in this particular total records we are keeping the data. That means total number of records we are keeping in this particular variable. And total page, what is defined by 0, now we are making now the total page as this particular math function. What is this particular math.sale? Is a JavaScript function where how we actually we are calculating this particular total page. Data dot length, that means the number of records present in this particular data, that means list, divided by this dot record size. Record size here actually defined by 2, and we are using math.sale. It's actually you can say mod method in we are using normally in Apex class. That means it's populating the, it's actually not populating, it's calculating the number of pages in a highest decimal sorry highest integer point. That means if let's say number of record is 9 and 9 divided by 2 is 4.5 normally. Now 4.5 it's actually it's round about 5, so total number of page will be 5. It's always putting the integer value, not the decimal value. Again, if it is let's say 7 divided by 2 is 3.5, then the total number of page will be 4. Now in this particular, this is the actually the procedure of this particular function math.sale. Clear?
Yes.
Now so total records we kept and total page we actually calculated. Now we are calling a separate method. That means what is the method? Actually now we need that we got the data, list of data. We got how many number of pages is required. Now we have to slice the data. Slice means we have to divide the data in the small part so that it should be displayed in the pagination format. That's why for that we are calling a separate method. From this method, what we are doing, just I am going this particular method. See what actually this is a constant variable start. Start in the start method. What actually you have done in the start, we kept the first number of record from means from which actually we should start. See this dot current page -1 into this dot record size. Now what is the current page right now? 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So start will be 0. That means we should start from the in the array. Normally the first record is from the 0th position, right? Now we should start the record from the 0 position. That's why this is the formula. Not formula, this is the calculation procedure. And what will be the end? End will be this dot current page into record size. Now what is the current page? 1.
One.
Because when you first time load, always it will be 1. 1 into 2, record size here is 2. That means 0 1 2. That means this is start start with 0 and end with 2. So that means it will display only two variable, two data. It will start from 0 and it will end 2. Okay, so in this particular one we are dividing this record.
Deepta, why we require this? Because previously we already mentioned the size as record size as 2. So why is it necessary to do that?
For this particular function.
No, it's this update data to parents, this
Now
portion.
this record size is static because we know in every page we have only 2 values, but this current page we are always changing. First in the first position we have current page 1. Now when you click on the next button, what will be the current page?
2.
1 plus 1 2. Then
Yes.
if you always consider this record size, how you can calculate the end position?
Sorry, I don't get your point.
So you mentioned that every time why we actually need this calculation, right?
Yeah.
And we can only mention this dot record size, right? But that is not the correct thing. Every time it will actually return the means correct value. Why I'm telling you, for the first position this will return, let's say you just remove this one, only the record size, it is okay. That means only 2 it will be end position, start will be 0 position. Clear?
Hmm.
Now let's say you just click on the next button in the pagination. What will
Hmm.
be the current page?
Page number 2.
Current page number will be one page number that is actually in the next part. I will explain later, but as you asked, then the current page will be increased by 1. No, the
So
current
2.
page will not be 1. It will be 1 plus 1, 2.
2. Yes.
Yes. Now when it will be 2, then what will be the end part
2
of the
into
record?
2, 4.
Now if you don't use this particular one, then every time it will say only 2. That's why this multiplication with the current page is required. We cannot use like this one.
No, like records. Is it for the next 2 or for the,
Next to.
okay, like for the, yeah.
You are slicing. That means you know how many numbers of records you got,
Okay.
and you are slicing the records. First in the first position when you are in the first page. So you are starting from 0, you are ending in 2. Now
Okay.
when you click on the next page button, it will go to the next page. Then what will do? The current page value will be 1 plus 1, 2. 2 minus 1, 1. 1 into 2. That means it start from 2. And it's actually, you can see here, second number means 2 means end number means it will just stop before end. Means it is starting from 0, 0, 1. These two records, it will display. And it's actually slicing the record 0 and 1. That means it's starting and it's ending before 2.
Okay, like it is like from the first page, it is like 0 to 2. And from
0 to 2,
2,
and
yes.
actually it is displaying 0 to 2 means it will not display 3 records. Don't be confused. 0, 1. These two
Yes.
records will be displayed.
Yeah, like
Next page, it will display 2,
the next 2.
2, 3 actually.
Yeah, the next 2, right?
Yeah.
Means
Yes.
it's for indexing, mainly the indexing.
Indexing. Yes. Yes. Actually, it's
Okay.
actually using for the indexing. Actually, this is the method, JavaScript method, where actually is slicing the records with the indexing format. Slice means we are cutting the records in a small part. You can say number of records. So first 2 records will be displayed. Means as why I am every time I am telling 2 because I made the record sizes 2. Means 2 number means 2 number of records you are displaying in a page. Now if I give 3, then it's a 3 means 3 records will be displayed in page. Now same thing, it will be like it will display 0. If it is 3, then it will display 0, 1, 2. These 3 records. In the next page, it will display 3, 4, 5. These 3 records, something like that. Clear?
Yes.
Now this visible records, this is another variable we declared here. No, it is not declared here. Sorry, this is my bad. This is actually these visible records where actually we are returning these visible records. Now, what is this visible records? I'm telling you. This is the visible accounts, and here actually you are putting these visible records, and how actually we are making these visible records. Just let me explaining you. Okay. So this dot visible record, this is also actually a variable what we declared. That means here actually declared the visible record. That means if I call these particular records, means when we are setting the data and after populating all the records with a pagination format, what we return, we should return this particular value. Means whatever the we sliced in a particular pagination format, those values we are returning via this particular variable. We are returning these visible records, and what is the visible records? We are actually keeping these visible records in a slicing format. That means in the first page only 0 indexing, that means 0 index and 1 index, these two particular records, it will be assigned in this particular variable, and this variable we are returning. And now it is the event function where actually we are dispatching event. That means this is a custom event. In this particular custom event, we are actually sending this data, sending the child component data to the parent component. Okay, now just try to understand, this is actually that we have returned the visible records. That means in this way we are returning the values to the child, to the parent component. What is this visible records? In this visible records, we kept the records data in a slicing format. That means index format, you can say, as per the pagination variables. That means here the pagination variables, we mentioned the record size as 2, something like that. That means first 2 records, if you are in the first page, then first 2 records it will be assigned in this particular variables, and via this particular custom event we are returning this particular list of 2 records in a parent component. Clear? Hello, Payal, Monimala, anyone?
Divya, just explain the get set part once. Just for me.
Yes.
So set part means is actually in this particular one we are setting the values. Here means we are getting the account list, we are actually catching the value in the pagination particular pagination method, and we are setting the variables here. That means we get the data, and from the data we are actually setting the number of pages what is required based on the total number of records we got. And then we are calling this particular method. And what actually we are doing, we are actually making the start position and end position, and we are making this particular, we are actually populating these particular variables. These are visible records variables, and that means we are actually slicing the data, and we are actually populating these particular variables with a slice of data. That means index data with the index data. That means first 2 records, or first the second 2 records, third 2 records, something like that. So as 2 means, why I mentioning every time 2, because I mentioned that record size as 2. That's why first 2 records, when you are actually first time opening the LWC component, the first 2 record will be assigned this particular variable. Okay, and when you have actually assigned this particular variable, you have already set those variable, and now you are returning these variables via get method. Okay, and how actually you are returning in this particular event function, you are returning the variable to the parent component. Okay, and in the parent component, how you can catch these particular records, because you have returned, but in the parent component also you have to catch. Now see, in the custom event, whatever we have written here, we mention a name called update. If you go to the HTML of the parent component, you also get a particular on update particular function. This on update function, it is actually fetching the particular record. What is actually fetching? See, on update function is calling a JS method. Whenever you put on up and update means it's calling the data from the child component, and now it's a custom event. In this particular custom event, you put the name as update. You can put anything. Let's say if I put my name, let's say it's a custom event, I made a custom event with the name of my name. And the same thing here on that means whenever you are calling this particular LWC component, any LWC component, and on that particular one, if you have a custom event name as div, then on particular div function event, whenever whatever the data it is returning, we are capturing and we are calling this particular JS method from there. What the data it is we are capturing from there? See, this is actually a local variable we declared. This is this dot visible accounts. What actually in the visible accounts we are populating? We are populating this particular event. This is the event, custom event, event dot detail dot records. This particular value we are populating here, event dot detail dot records. We are
Can I
putting
ask
here,
one question here?
yeah.
Uh, uh, i- Here we can see the constant in the JS part,
Mhm.
not here. I'm just asking, like, this may be very basic sort of question, like what constant means, constant dot start or constant dot end used in the JS part.
Constant dot start not is, it's not dot, it's constant,
Yes,
is a
not dot,
variable.
constant.
It's a
Yeah.
variable. Constant means in a particular page it will be constant, the particular value. So it will not be refreshed, or means if you refresh the page also, it will always keep that particular value. That why we make it as a constant. Constant means the variable is constant for a particular transaction, you can say. Okay.
I was looking for another code there also, constant something. I was asking for that one which I was telling about like early in this meeting, like constant something means it is another thing, like where it is coming from, that I am not understanding.
Coming from, I'm not getting this
Like
particular.
okay, I'll show you after this call, then I can explain it better.
Okay. So now just try to understand this particular variable we populated with this list of records, means sliced records, you can say list of sliced record, you can say. And then this particular records we are returning from this particular method. And how you are returning, you are actually calling a event dispatch, means you are dispatching an event, custom event with a particular name. You are dispatching this particular records, and this particular records you are capturing in this particular parent component with a on event change, on event function. On means the custom event function. And on this particular custom event function, what we are doing, we are calling a js method in the parent component, and we are actually capturing the details of that particular event, means whatever the data we are getting from there in a local way, and also we are storing in a local variable. This particular one, anyone has any doubt, just let me ask. Payal, Monimala, Sujoy, anyone?
No, I'm good.
Like, what is the purpose of three dot?
This is the syntax.
Okay.
Any means apart from this, anyone has any doubt?
Previously, for where method, we are just taking the event dot target dot details or event dot
No,
like
event
this.
dot detail. Why I am explaining again? Event is, this is event.
Mm-hmm.
Detail is there. The detail actually where actually we keep the records,
Hmm.
and the records is means what actually we are returning. This custom event, we are returning the detail of this custom event, and in the detail what we are returning, we are returning the records. And in
Okay.
this particular record variable, what we put the slice of the records.
This dot very
Yes,
yes.
how actually you are defining in the particular same way you have to you have to fetch here.
Okay.
Okay. And this particular, this dot visible account, this particular list we are actually displaying here, you can say, with a column variables,
In the
means
data.
column values.
Yes.
That means with a pagination we are displaying only the slice, means the number of list of accounts with a slice format, means only two values, first in the first page, then next two in the second page, something like that. Not all the accounts we are displaying here. First, we are actually catching all the accounts, not directly we are putting this particular get account list here. Why? Because we don't want all the lists should be displayed in the same page. So that's why we are actually we are catching this particular list data. We are calling this particular pagination LWC component, where in the record variable we are actually, or record method, sorry, we are calling the record method, where actually we are passing the data. In this particular record, what is actually written for the pagination, we are setting the data, we are actually capturing the data, and we are setting the variables, whatever the variables for the pagination we declared here. And accordingly we are slicing the data, and we are dispatching via custom event the data to parent component. And also the in the parent component we are catching that particular custom event, and we are in the js method on the custom event, whatever the data we have written, we are storing that data, and we are actually as initiating, or you can say initializing in a custom variables in this particular parent component. And that particular custom variables we are displaying here in a lightning data table. Okay. Hello.
Yes. Okay.
Now if that is actually you displayed the first two records, now let's say you have to you have to display the next records, means you have to enable the next button, you have to enable the previous buttons, also some other logic is there. So this is actually I just explained what is the, whatever I have explained, this is an only for the first time when you load the data. Now let's say you just click on the next button. Let's say if I go to this particular pagination HTML, what is written there? See, this is a lightning layout. Here actually it's a previous button. On click, we are calling a previous handler. What is this? Is the previous handler. Also here we are displaying the number of page, how many number of pages there. This is the current page and total page. Now current page always it will be first when you are starting, or it will be a 1. And total page, how we are actually changing, we are actually first time we are calculating what will be the total page when you are setting the records. And this is the lightning button, it's called next button. When you click on the next button, then we are we are actually calling a next handler class, sorry, method. And this is actually written when we should disable the previous button and when we should disable the next button. For that particular one, we mention this particular two where means we call particular to to these functions. Now what is this particular previous handler class sorry method is doing? Let me explain in the pagination what is it doing. Now so let's say previous handler what is doing, if the current page greater than 1, that means if you are in the next page, not in the first page. Just remember that in the first page always the previous button will be disabled, because normally in the first page you should not get anything from the clicking on the previous button. So in the first page always the previous button will be disabled. Now see here actually how we are actually disabling the previous button. This is the disable previous method we are calling. Every time you are clicking means you are changing anything, means any page or anything you are traversing from one page to another. Every time this particular method will be called, and it is actually checking what is the current page. If it is equal to 1 or less than 1, normally less than equal to is the format, but normally equal to 1 it will be, then always it will put as. But
Deepta,
yeah,
can you please repeat once more this part? I don't get.
see, whenever actually you are clicking on this particular pagination part, means anytime, whenever clicking on the next button or previous button, every time this particular method will be called. Okay. And it will calculate the current page value, because whenever actually you are clicking the next button or previous button, always the current page will be changed. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Now when the current page, what actually it is returning, it is return, this particular method is returning the number of the current page. It's an integer. What is the number of the current page? What is the value? Not number. What is the value of the current page? Always it
That
is
is
returning.
yeah,
Now,
that is dynamic.
sorry,
That is dynamic.
that
Like
is dynamic. Now,
yes.
if this dot current page less than equal to 1, now here it is actually telling, it is returning true and false. How it is returning? This is the particular one. This is actually the function you can say. If this dot current page less than equal to 1, it will return true, otherwise false. Okay, you
There
can
is
write a separate one, like let's say you just you can define a variable here. Let's say local variable, let's say no, you in if condition you can check. Let's say if in this condition, in this way, if this dot current page, you can mention here a variable, let's say call is as equal to false. In this way also you can mention.
okay. So there is no semicolon. We don't need to do.
No, every time it is not required, but in this particular way also you can actually return. But it's a you can say easy for, not easy, it's a advanced format how actually we can return in this way. sorry, just right this one. Without writing a so many codes, I'm just returning returning these conditions. Now these conditions will always read this kind of, it's actually a checking purpose. Like in this if condition, what we are checking, it is always written true or false, right? If this is happening, that means if it is true, then in go to inside the if conditions. If not, then don't execute. Like this same way, actually it is returning true or false. Understood?
Okay, that I understood. But one thing, like current. So for the first page, oh,
Let
okay,
me
okay. It
explain.
is like for the,
Let me
okay, okay,
explain.
I understood. I understood. Like for the first page, there should be no previous button. Yes.
Yes. So it is returning true or false in this particular conditions. So it is checking every time when you are going from one page to another. Every time this dynamic current page is changing, the value of the current page is changing. Now, whenever the current page value is less than equal to 1, normally it is equal to 1, but it's actually we are always putting less than equal to 1. So if it is equal to 1, you can say less than equal to 1 means a similar like equal to 1, then it will return true. And whenever it will return true, what will do, it will actually disable this previous button. Clear? Now if you click the button, previous button is if the previous button is enabled, that means the current page is not equal to 1. Okay, that means if the button is enabled, that means you are in the next page or in other pages. Okay, that's why the previous button is enabled. Now, if you click the previous button, that means if you on click event, this seed now I am explaining the on click event. If you are clicking the previous handler button, what will happen? Let's say if the current page greater than equal to 1, greater than 1, always it will be the case, because the previous handler button, if means not previous handler button, the previous button is enabled, that means you are not in the first page, you are in the other page. Okay, then what will happen, it will just do the current page value, it will change the current page value. What will change, it will update the current page, this dot current page -1. Previous means it is going to the reverse direction. So that means if the current page is 2, it will just subtract the 1 from the 2, and it will make the current page value as 1. If the current page value is 3, it will make as 2. Clear this particular one?
Yes.
And again it is calling this particular event, sorry, the method update data to parents. Why it is why every time you should call this particular event? Because here actually we are slicing the data. Okay, so that's why whenever you are clicking the button, every time you have to call this particular one, this particular method. You need to display the records on the particular page, right? When you are clicking the previous button, that means if you are going from the next page to the previous page, then also the previous record should be displayed. The same way, actually, this particular method you should call every time whenever you are clicking on click event, you are actually operating. Okay, on next, on previous, that means next handler or previous handler, whenever you are doing, every time you should call this particular method every time, so that the next page or the previous page record should be displayed. Clear this particular one? Hello?
Yes, Dita, clear.
Same thing. Now next, go to the next button. What actually the next button, when the next button should be disabled? See, if I go to there,
After the
disable.
last record, last page.
Yes. See, disable next when return if the current page equal to total page. Clear? Last page means that the total page, total number of page equal to the current page. That means you reach the last page. That is the condition. Clear this one?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Yes, Dita.
Now, when you click the next button, what will happen? Let's say if when you click means if the next button is not disabled, that means you just clicking the next button and the next page is less than equal to less than total page. Obviously, whenever the next button will be enabled, that means the next page is not the last page. So what will do, it's just changing, it is adding the +1. When you are clicking the previous, it is actually subtracting, and when you are clicking the next, it is adding in the current page. And every time it is calling this particular method so that the slice of records, whatever you have divided, it should display the next iterations, something like that, or previous iteration, based on the condition, whatever the button you are clicking. Clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So every time whenever so now you just understood what will be the function of the previous button, what will be the function of the next button. And the same thing, like whenever the next button or previous button it will be clicked, the same way the dispatch event it will fire, and it will be on this particular variable. You will catch the current number of records. Means whatever the records you sliced and whatever the current number of records, those records will be returned this particular visible contacts variable, and those particular records will be displayed in the lightning data table. Clear? Hello.
Yes, clear.
Yes, Deepta.
So now just if I refresh this particular example, just I explained you. Now see here, total 8 record is there in the account. Total 8 records is there. Now with a record size equal to 2. How many number of page it will be? 8 divided by 2, it's 4. Now if there is 9 records, then what will be the page number of pages?
5.
9, 5. 9 divided by 2 is 4.5, is nearly equal to 5. So for this particular one, it says 4 page it will be there. Now see here, on when you unload, it will display the first 2 records. Now here, why it is coming like 4 and 3 first? Because just I put the conditions here in the Apex class, it should be always order by. So that's why it's actually which is created latest, those records is actually displaying first. Okay. Now whenever you are clicking on the next, it is displaying, just it is updating this particular pagination part. It is just displaying the next iterations, and see the previous button is enabled. Now when again you are clicking the next, it is adding the current page 1 plus 1 again. Sorry, adding the current page with 1, increasing the current page with 1. The previously the current page is 2, now it is adding the 4. Now next iteration is actually it is displaying here at the last page. When you are going, see the next button is automatically disabled because we are in the last page. Now the previous button is actually enabled. Now again you are clicking, we are right now in the 4th page. Now when you are clicking, the current page will be 4 minus 1. Clicking the previous button, it is always subtracting minus 1 every time. So now we are in the 3rd page. Again we are clicking in the 2nd page, and when we are in the 1st page, the previous button will be disabled, and the next button, normally in between the pages, next button will be always enabled. So this is actually how the pagination works. Now, any questions on this particular pagination? How we can display the number of records with a pagination format? Anyone?
Deepta, I want to make a little change and see this difference. I want to see that if there is, it is showing the 3 records, and if I change the total records from 2 to 3, is it going to show 3 records right now?
Yeah, I can. Just wait a minute. Uh, so just you want that in a page, you want to display 3 records, right?
Yes, yes, yes. Here, here.
Just I'm doing the 3. Just I'm deploying the code.
There we don't need to change anything.
No, nothing.
Yes, yes.
So record size means number of records you want to display in a page.
In a
Just
page,
you change it.
1 page. Yes.
Okay. Now just you just now, how many number of page it will be there here right now? 8 divided by 3. What will be the in decimal? What will be the total value? 8 divided by 3. How many number of pages will be there? Tamojit, just
I think
Tamojit, just keep answer.
8 divided by 2, it's
8
sorry,
divided by
it's
3.
3. So it is, if I divide, I think it's 2 pages will be, no, sorry, 3 pages will be there.
So it is 8 divided by 3 is nearly about 2 point something, like.
Yes.
Not exactly 3 but 2 point something, but
Yes. If
always
it,
it is putting highest condition, highest integer. That means it will populate the data in a 3 page. Okay, clear?
yes.
See, 3 page. First 3 records, just click on the next. Second 3 records, and just you are going to the next page. Only 2 records will be there.
Mm,
Clear?
yes.
Now you, if you put, now I have 8 number of records. Just if I keep as 5, what will be the number of pages here? 8 divided by 5, what will be the number of pages here?
Only 2 pages.
Exact.
Yes.
Only 2 pages. See, first 5 records, next
Three
last
records.
3 records. Clear?
Yes.
Any doubt? Payal, Munimala, Anushka, anyone?
No, not at all.
Now pagination part is clear, means how in a simple way you can write the pagination on a list of number of records. Give me answer, then how can I understand you? Are you okay or not?
Seems like
No, no.
okay.
For now, there is no doubt. If we go through this
So
again
the
and
pagination means here actually you just have to set the total number of records. You just have to set the total number of page. You just have to set the starting positions, starting index of the record, and end index of the record, means from a particular page. And you just have to slice the records. It's a slice is a JavaScript function. Slice the record with this particular indexing, and those records you via custom event you have to return to the parent component. You have to return here, where actually we are capturing and we are displaying in a means not displaying, we are just initializing or assigning the number of records, slice number of records in a local variable, and that local variable we are displaying in a data table. Clear? And in this particular JS, the other parts, that means the previous button, next button, whenever we are clicking the previous button, we are just subtracting 1 from the current page. When you are clicking the next button, we are adding 1 in the current page. And also the previous button, when we will make disable, when actually the current page equal to 1, when we will make the next button disable, when the current page equal to total page, means last page. And always when you are clicking the previous button or next button, always we are calling this particular update to parents method. Whatever the method you write, you can give any kind of name. It's not actually every time you have to give this kind of name, but whatever the method name you should give, where actually you are actually mentioning which slice of records you want to display. Okay, clear for this particular one?
Yes.
Okay, the last part what actually I explain, this is the refresh apex part. So Pile, just be careful, just try to understand. See here actually in the HTML I have written a lightning button called refresh. It's an icon I have given, and in this particular icon lightning button we are calling a refresh handler method in the JS. What is it doing in the JS? See, this is the refresh handler. It is just calling a function called refresh apex. Now for before calling this function you have to import this refresh apex. See, this is actually property of say, LWC component or apex component, but before that you have to import, like same way we are importing the lightning element, where decorator, same thing like that, refresh apex. Also the update operation, we are importing import update operation from lightning UI, right? UI record API. Same thing, the refresh apex also a property where we are importing from the Salesforce apex. You whenever you want to refresh anything, not forcefully window load, but refresh any component, you have to call this particular, you have to import this particular refresh apex functions or functionalities from the Salesforce apex deco, means the libraries, you can say. Clear, Pile?
Yes.
Now in this particular one, what we are doing, this is a method, this method we are calling from this particular button. In this particular button, what we are doing, we are calling this refresh apex, this particular inbuilt Salesforce method. And what we are doing, we are returning this refresh apex. And what is we are refreshing, we are refreshing this particular list of accounts, this account list. What actually, see this dot account details, this particular one, this list of account details we are refreshing. And what is the purpose I am explaining you? Let's say in this particular example, you have just changed this particular name of this particular Smith Enterprises. Let's say you just change it manually, you have changed, not in from this particular home page, but from manually you just change the name from Smith Enterprise to, let's say you have added one thing, limited. Okay. And also you change the phone number here. Now if you go to the home page, you will see always the old. Now there is two options. One, you just forcefully you can reload, and then it will be automatically updated and you will see the latest records. Clear? Otherwise, if you just click this refresh button, refresh button means if you click this particular one, what will do, it will call this particular method and it will refresh only the this particular list of account which actually you referred or you called from the where method. So if you just click on this particular one, see, only this particular component has been refreshed, not whole component, not whole page. And also the pagination has not hampered. It is it is also in the second page. So it is not going from the on the first page. That means if you refresh, it is not refreshing whole component also. It's a part of components also, it's refreshing.
Okay, but if if I just want to know, just after clicking that, if I go to home page, so is it possible to automatically update this?
Yes,
Like
it
that
is
will
possible.
be.
Let's say you are, if you are in the home page, how it is possible? Something like that on click event. Let's say in this particular one, you are changing anything. You have done.
Mhm.
And also when you are just saving it, you
Yeah.
want that particular one, it should be refreshed. You can
Yes.
call this particular one from here. Here actually I have not put something called error or try catch block, right? Normally we have also explained that we can put the method like try catch, like let's say if I
We
go
can use the where
this one.
function, right?
Yes, this one in this particular way.
And if the
Here,
one thing we can also call the connected callback method in order to automatically reload our
yes,
Apex.
connected callback method you can call, but connected callback method always work in the on load. Okay, same thing like where method. Let's say in not
Right.
only where method, you just want, you want to use it in a separate format. Let's say in a inline editing, you just save it. Okay, now you cannot call the connected callback right now. Just in this particular page, you have a inline editing. You just change the name from data caller to something like that, and you save it. Now also you change the phone number. Now you want that particular record should display the correct format. Okay, now connected callback always will open, always will work, or where method always will work when you just forcefully refresh the whole page. Now
Right.
after updating, if you want to automatically reload the page or reload the component, not reload the page, reload the component, what will be the procedure? That is the refresh apex. Means whenever you done the update operation in the it is the try block and it is the catch block. This is clear to pile, right?
Yes.
In this try block, you just call this particular refresh apex part. That means just refresh this particular component, whatever you are displaying there. Automatically, you will get the updated value. Okay,
Okay.
Clear?
Yeah, I have to try it once.
Yeah, you just try it, and just if you are stuck down, then actually you can search in Google or you can ask us. No problem.
Okay.
So this is the procedure where actually now in this example we call this particular function from a button, but same method you can use inside a method, or same function you can use inside a method. Okay. Now I think you understood that what will be the action item when you want to refresh anything without refreshing the whole page. Okay, clear to everyone?
Yes.
Yes, Deepak.
Okay. So, any doubt on this particular one, pagination or refresh part?
No.
Okay.
Just one thing, I just want to confirm one thing.
Mm.
That slice method, that will create another or separate set of record that will give in the condition without interrupting the original set of records, right? If I am
Yes,
not
yes,
wrong,
yes.
that will
So,
create a copy.
sorry. Yeah, yes. Because it's actually total records you already got and you are keeping in a variable, right?
Hmm.
Just
Right.
let me share once again the screen. Total record you just in the pagination. Let me go there pagination part. See, total number of records you already kept with these variables. So always the total number of records will be static. There will be no change. Means 10 number of records, 100 number of records, 50 number of records, or 1000 number of records. It's already kept. Now you just slicing this total number of records, not the any other new records. That means 1000 records if you got, just slicing that 1000 records based on the pagination. So it will not be altered anytime. Number of records will be always stored. And this particular, now you can say that how actually you are slicing. See, slice means total indexing. It is doing the indexing on the total number of records. That means let's say there is 10 records. It's storing the records in with the indexing format from 0 to 9. Okay, in a list, and just slicing the data with a pagination. That means first two, if you give the record size as 2, that means first two records it will do in a one slice, second two records it will be in a second slice, something like that. But how it will slice, what will be the slice value, that means what will be the start value, what will be the end value, you can mention here. That means which slice you want to display in between the total number of records, means in which indexing records you want to display. Now first total records is always 10. Now let's say you want from number 2 to number 4. In this particular indexing, those number of records it should be displayed. Just you put here 2 and you put here 4. That means from the indexing 2 to for indexing 4, those records it will be displayed here. Clear?
Yes, yes, yes.
So always the number of records always stored and it is static. And on basis on the number of records, you just slicing in a indexing format. Okay. And so in this particular function, sorry, in this particular JavaScript function, you just slicing the records and according to the record size of the page. That's it. So that is from today's session. Just